If you were struggling to know what to do with your emotions, then I've got some strategies for you about the 4 ingredients that you need for emotional well-being. Our 4th ingredient for emotional well-being, the last, the most important, and the hardest, self-compassion. The capacity to be kind to yourself, particularly when you are experiencing distress or intense emotions or some sort of a struggle. And I think as you identified, the patients who hear you need to practice some self-compassion and go, no, are the ones who really need it, right?
Exactly.
So you know what? I made another acronym because this is what I
do. Well done.
This is what I do. There's a lot of stuff out there on self-compassion. I think it's Kristen Neff is kind of the face of the self-compassion. She's got some good kind of principles of what self-compassion is supposed to involve and what it looks like. But I didn't find that there was any kind of really structured kind of step-by-step thing. So I was workshopping this with some of my patients, trying to come up with some ideas, trying to help them when they ask me this question of, yeah, I get that I'm supposed to do self-compassion, but how do I actually do it?
Got it.
So this is what we came up with.
Yep.
The acronym itself is KIND.
Okay.
Right? Really remembering self-kindness is what we're asking for here with self-compassion. A kind approach. And these again are cognitive. These are more around kind of your self-talk and how you actually talk to yourself. But watch the way that you talk to yourself.
Okay.
Right? If self-compassion is talk to yourself the way that you would talk to a friend who is in a similar position or in distress. So look at your tone. Look at the language. Look at the words that you use. Really do the opposite of what your punitive parent or your inner critic inside your head is screaming at you.
Yeah, so, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, none of that. It's like, this has been a really hard day for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the notion of, if this was happening to a friend of mine, what would I say to them?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, say that to myself.
Yes, yes. And most of my patients are incredibly good at compassion towards others.
Yeah.
They have huge amounts of empathy and really big hearts and really want to be there for everybody else. And I'm like, right, do it to yourself. They're like, no deal.
Empty blind spot, yeah.
So this can, like I said, it's the hardest, right? And it's the most important. So you're going to need some practice here. Identify the struggle. This was really hard for me. I use the same example I've used here. I had an argument with a colleague today, someone who I get along with really well, but today we were just butting heads. And it's really hurting me that I had an argument with a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And then nurture that inner child. Now this is kind of going back to some of the schema language. You might have seen some of our videos on YouTube already about this. Inner child, vulnerable child, whichever language you want to use. But I know that if I've had a fight with someone, I kind of get that deep sort of feeling of like, maybe I feel a bit guilty about some of the things I said, or I feel a bit scared about the future of the relationship. I'm kind of mindful of, I'm going to have to go do some repair work here. It's just sitting really icky. And that inner child is the one that actually holds that. That negative emotion sits with the inner child of that fear of abandonment or the fear of rejection or the feeling like you got scolded in an argument or something like that.
Okay.
So you really need to kind of go, yep, I'm feeling what's happening for my inner child right now, and I need to kind of nurture her.
So that the inner child is kind of in pain there and needs some TLC.
Yeah. Okay. Well, think about it like if a 4-year-old had a fight with a friend at daycare or something and comes home of kind of so-and-so didn't want to be my best friend anymore today. And what's going to come up for kind of that little 4-year-old of they don't like me anymore and they don't want to play with me anymore.
Yep.
Those sort of feelings still sit as in our inner child or vulnerable child as adults. The cognition might be different, but the feeling, that still sits there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So
then it comes down to decide to be a healthy adult. Now, the feedback that I got from my patients as I was developing this is that's actually the clincher, because I've got a couple of patients in particular who really struggle with this. They know what they're supposed to say. They know what the struggle is. They know what their inner child is. And they hit here and they go, nah. And we just see this really strong willfulness because their inner critic sabotages.
Okay. So there's a sort of a refusal to, so I've seen it, I've identified it, I ain't nurturing that.
Well, yeah, and then so we get to this and decide to be a healthy adult. I specifically chose the word decide because it emphasizes you are at a choice point.
Okay.
You can decide to be a healthy adult, or you can decide to listen to your inner critic tell you that you're an idiot or a horrible person because you said those bad things to your colleague or whatever it is.
Can you give me an example? So how can you act out deciding to be a healthy adult? What would I do?
If it's kind of, all right, I've had this kind of argument with a friend, is it, Do I send them a text to say, I'm sorry for my behaviour today, or I'm sorry for the things that I said. I look forward to kind of talking to you about this tomorrow so we can repair this. So take ownership of our action, extend the olive branch, and kind of make the effort to repair it. Whereas someone willful was like, no, I'm not dealing with that. It's too hard. I'm not touching it. I don't want to do it. I'm just going to ignore the whole situation has happened. So a healthy adult would take ownership of their behaviour in conflict and make the appropriate repair work for their part of the disagreement.
Yeah, sort of own your shit.
Own your shit, yeah, exactly. Own your shit, take responsibility for your shit. A healthy adult is also able to kind of manage the catastrophizing. A healthy adult, like the inner child, is like, oh my God, they're going to hate me, they're never going to want to talk to me ever again. A healthy adult can also be the one that goes, hang on a minute.
Reality check.
Yeah, you've actually got a pretty stable relationship with this person. So in all likelihood, you're going to be able to fix this tomorrow, and it'll settle down once everyone's had a chance to discharge their emotion.
Okay.
Yeah. A healthy adult may be, I'm feeling really unsettled at the moment. I need to make some healthy adult decisions about what I'm going to eat tonight.
Okay,
So,
I feel like binge eating, but maybe that's not the way to go.
I've had a shit day. I feel like crap. I want a bottle of wine and 3 pizzas. Healthy adult's going to go, how about have some steak instead and get some protein?
Yep.
Your personal favourite.
Yep.
Maybe
and go for a
skip
walk.
the booze, go
think,
for a walk.
Think through the stuff while you're taking a walk.
Yeah, and have some decaf tea instead later.
Maybe
When
vent,
sleeping
chat with
time.
someone.
Exactly.
Discharge it.
So the healthy adult is then going to be, right, what are the skills that you need to be using to help get through this?
Okay.
Which may be some of these or some of the other skills that we've got, like the RESPOND acronym we use for emotions. It's in that Soothe and Distract book that I talked about earlier. It's also up on our website for different handouts and things like that. Like I said, this is the hardest part, and in order to be a healthy adult, you kind of need your list of skills in your toolkit to know what you've actually got available and accessible to you. If you've got a really short number of skills or strategy in your toolkit for your healthy adult, this is going to be the hardest part. But the more therapy you do, the more skills you do, the more of our videos you watch, the more of our handouts you use, the more skills you have at getting actionable of actually doing stuff, the easier and more straightforward it will be for you to actually choose to implement that healthy adult and know what a healthy adult actually does, what it actually looks like.
Okay, so I guess a goal of a healthy adult is to develop a repertoire of healthy adult stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, that covers us for the 4 ingredients for emotional well-being. I hope that's been helpful. Leave us some comments, let us know what you think. I've made a series of slides for these. They're available on our Facebook and Instagram pages, plus we've got the downloads available through the Site Collective website. And I think there's a mini guide coming for emotions soon. It'll have some of this in there as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Check out those Instagram slides. They're really cool.
Thank you. All right, see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.